Mr. Chairman, Mr. Co-Chairman, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank Dr. Vitul Gupta for giving me an opportunity to share my views on the subject of COVID-19 and obstructive sleep apnea. The sun has been rising on the east for billions of years to awaken people who are sleeping in the world of ignorance. And this presentation is basically to tell you about the interrelationships between COVID-19 and obstructive sleep apnea, how they are related and how they can aggravate the underlying scenario of COVID-19, increasing the morbidity and also mortality. As you all know that sleep is essential for physical, mental and emotional well-being, and the duration of sleep in normal adults is 6 to 8 hours, and there are several disorders of sleep, nearly 88 of them. And what is important is that any disease will not recover well if there is a sleep disorder. Sleep enhances immunity. This should be particularly noted in subjects who are having chronic partial sleep deprivation. And this was very common when this pandemic came, and people were actually having reduced immunity, and one of them was the problem of less sleep. Next one. The functions of pharynx, as you all know, in humans, it is concerned with the act of swallowing, the act of speech, the act of breathing, and the hypotonia of the pharyngeal dilators with age and also sleep deprivation, which is very common. These are important to cause the pharyngeal collapse in sleep, and there is a process of human evolution which has got a relation to these functions of the pharynx. The spectrum of sleep disordered breathing, you know, it is snoring, upper airway resistance in between, and obstructive sleep apnea, which is the most important disease discovered in the last 50 years. The prevalence of sleep disordered breathing has been mentioned by several workers, between 9% to 24%. And in our country, it is about 7.5% and 20% on basis of AHI alone in middle-aged Indian men. It has been also reported that OSA can often be asymptomatic, and the prevalence can as high as 20 to 30% in the middle-aged population. There is poor awareness, as reported by Young et al. When you say asymptomatic, means the patient does not complain, but the partner who is actually sharing the room can bring the patient to you. The other workers like Sena Ratna reported 8% of the population of OSA, and about 60 years, nearly 20% people are affected. Now, the risk factors for OSA is age above 60 years, male gender, obesity, then sleep deprivation. Then OSA itself also causes sleep deprivation because of the altered sleep architecture, alcohol usage, and OSA also promotes obesity, leading to a vicious circle, whether the egg came or the hen came on the earth first. We all know that there is a repetitive pharyngeal collapse in sleep, which can lead to awakening or arousal, and the patient can shift from deeper stage of sleep to lesser stage of sleep, and this cycle continues, resulting in cyclical hypoxemia, also sympathetic stimulation, release of stress hormones cyclically, cyclical hypertension, endothelial dysfunction, inflammation, and hypercoagulable state. It is important to mention that OSA is a hypercoagulable state. The apnea termination results in rise in blood pressure, rise in heart rate, and rise in cardiac output, increase in the sympathetic tone, and increase in the release of the catecholamines. And there is also rise in the systemic blood pressure. This is the chart to show that how there is a complex interaction of modern lifestyle, the sleep deprivation, and the anatomical factors like macroglossia, retruded chin, and others interacting, producing the sleep disordered breathing and the apneic activity and the sympathetic stimulation, and promoting the thrombosis and leading to hypertension, insulin resistance, and several metabolic errors. This is a polysomnogram to show that the recording of the patients of OSA, where you can see the regular dipping of the oxygen saturation. The COVID-19 disease emerged in the latter part of 2019, Wuhan, China. It spread rapidly across the globe. It is a severe respiratory disease, we all know, and large number of patients were hospitalized with respiratory failure, and we don't know how long this impact will remain. And there are new variants of the virus. The total number of COVID cases as on date 15th August 20 crore 75 lakhs 41,683, and the deaths at that time were 4 crores and 36 lakhs and above. In India, it was 3 crores 21 lakhs 92,576, and the deaths were reported to be 4 lakhs 31,253. The risk factors for COVID-19, as we all know, it is as advancing age, male gender, obesity, comorbid conditions like hypertension, diabetes, coronary artery disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and it is a observation that OSA is commonly associated with these above disorders. Immune system is geared towards inflammation in both these conditions. The OSA is associated with higher angiotensin 2 and aldosterone levels, which is possibly responsible for resistant hypertension. OSA leads to hypertension via the stimulation of the RAS, and ACE2 does not convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. The SARS-CoV-2, the virus cell entry depends upon the ACE2. Angiotensin converting enzyme activity is increased in OSA. This is a molecular model of the spike protein, the red color of the SARS-CoV-2 binding to the angiotensin converting to enzyme receptor, which is colored blue, which is the entry route of to the target cell. Now, the ACE2 is a protein on surface of many cell types like lungs, heart, blood vessels. ACE2 has protective effects against tissue injury by mitigating the pathological effects of angiotensin 2. SARS-CoV-2 requires ACE2 to infect cells. Reduced ACE2 receptors contribute to more angiotensin 2 mediated injury. OSA is associated with higher angiotensin 2 and aldosterone levels. Reducing ACE2 will therefore increase the susceptibility to inflammation, cell death, and organ failure, especially in heart and lungs. So this is the basic slide for the interaction between the COVID and the obstructive sleep apnea when they are associated together. The consequences of OSA, you all know it is hypertension, type 2 diabetes, ischemic heart disease. There's a long list, and the list is ever increasing. Cardiac arrhythmias, idiopathic cardiomyopathy, stroke, psychiatric effects like depression, bipolar disorder, reversible dementia, erectile dysfunction, normal coronary angiogram with persistent angina, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, retinal diseases, diabetic retinopathy, which is my original work, and also cancer. OSA also can lead to sudden death, which can occur in sleep because of atrial or ventricular fibrillation. The OSA and the risks for COVID-19 complications. OSA patients may show heightened risk for COVID-19 complications due to nocturnal hypoxemia. There is a double hypoxia, cardiac dysfunction, atrial fibrillation, sudden death, severe inflammation, endothelial dysfunction, oxidative stress, risk of acute respiratory distress syndrome, microaspiration, and as mentioned earlier, OSA is a hypercoagulable state. OSA patients have one or more comorbid conditions which are risk factors for COVID. OSA exacerbates the effect of many underlying risk factors by increasing the blood pressure. OSA may worsen the core symptoms of COVID-19, especially during night due to the desaturations. Oxygen saturations recorded during the day may not reflect the nocturnal measurements in those who are treated at home. In the increased inflammatory markers and increased inflammation in obese patients can contribute to worsening of the hypoxemia and leading to cytokine storm, which occurs in pneumonia and in patients of multi-organ failure. The low levels of vitamin D observed in pediatric OSA patients can also contribute to inflammation. Then OSA patients independently associated with the higher C-reactive protein and lipid levels, and the severity of OSA correlates with the low levels of vitamin D. Vitamin D, as you all know, enhances immunity. Various studies have been done. One of them is by the Dr. Strauss et al., he evaluated OSA in association with risk of severe COVID-19 independently of other risk factors, whether contracting COVID-19 is elevated in OSA patients. And he concluded that risk of contracting COVID-19 was the same with OSA and non-OSA patients, but OSA was associated with higher risk for hospitalization. The coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2 and diabetes outcomes, the Coronado study aimed at identify the clinical and biological features associated with disease severity and mortality risk with diabetes hospitalized for COVID-19. The conclusion was chronic glycemic control did not impact the immediate severity of COVID-19. Elderly population with long-term diabetes with advanced complications and or treated OSA were particularly at risk for early death. BMI also appears as an independent prognostic factor for COVID-19 severity, and obesity is a common risk factor for both patients of diabetes and also OSA. Then Maas, MB et al. Also studied the relationship between OSA and risk of COVID-19 infection and disease severity, identified by the need for hospitalization and progression to respiratory failure. The total number of cases were 9,405, and he concluded that with patients with OSA experienced approximately 8-fold greater risk of COVID-19 infection. OSA was associated with increased risk of hospitalization, approximately double the risk of developing respiratory failure. So the take-home messages, ladies and gentlemen, is that OSA is an independent risk factor for poor COVID-19 outcomes. OSA patients are at risk to contract COVID-19. OSA must be recognized in all COVID-19 patients and treated. Difficult during the pandemic, we could not do the sleep studies, it was suspended, but somehow we can take the history and find out by means of questionnaire, or we can look at the face of the patient and possibly get a clue whether he has retruded chin, lower positioned hyoid bone, large and short neck, unable to wear tie in a ready-made shirt. We have observed this as a very common clinical sign. Then tired face with periorbital edema. Patients can sleep anywhere and also while recording ECG. Patients sleeping in the waiting room of the clinic. Now, these are all the things which we can observe. Then the other take-home message is that those who have survived the severe disease of the COVID must be screened for OSA and treated to prevent further consequences, and sleep of good quantity and quality is necessary for developing a robust and long-lasting adaptive immunity. Thank you very much for your kind attention.